And welcome back everybody to another edition of Sentimiento Latino number 137. I'm of course your host, Light VIP, and with me I will be later joined by someone, maybe. we shall see, but regardless, it is great to see the return of some players that we've been missing for a while. Welcome back to your weekly dose of Latin American StarCraft. And here in the bottom right, let's just dive right into it. We have our returning Duckling. We haven't seen him in a month, maybe just over a month. It's been a while. We have the Peruvian Zerg player representing the CranKy Ducklings. It is Ryu. And spawning in the top left-hand corner of Moondance, we have the Mexican Terran. We've been seeing a lot more of him in the absence of his opponents. Representing ZvT Signet, it is Sinner. Let me just quickly set some audio levels here. I think I'm a little bit louder than I usually am. Give me one moment. Yeah, okay, I'll knock myself down a little bit. But yeah, it's great to be back here. Of course, we're always here every single Saturday / Friday, depending on where you are, with some Latin American StarCraft. And Ryu, he's my boy. He's one of my favorite sons. I love him so much. But he has been absent for a while. I know sometimes Darking gives me a little bit of flack whenever we're casting. He's like, yo, where's Ryu? Because Ryu is one of the more active Ducklings, especially in the Latin American weekly scene. And you know, he's been missing because he's usually winning these. He's usually winning Copa Hyperion or Sentimiento Latino, and he's been a little bit absent. I can now say that he was a little bit burnt out. I do remember, I think the last time he competed was over a month ago in our team league match in Racksteer, and even then, like, he wasn't really too keen on playing, and he was having a bit of a harder time. I know a lot of Zerg players are having a hard time on the new patch. I know the new maps aren't very kind to Zerg players, and the meta has shifted as well, and yeah, Ryu just needed a break for a while. He needed a break, and this is maybe the start of his return. Because of that break, Ryu isn't at peak condition. I will say that. I mean, I expect to see, you know, a little bit of rust being shaken off here as we speak. And it's not going to be easy because already the first round he's going up against Sinner, you know, one of the better, if not the best Terran player in the entire bracket right now. I think I would say that. So yeah, it's a bit of a rough first round match, not gonna lie, but you know, that's Latin America for you. There's so many good players, and you have to hit them at some point. So yeah, I wish the best here to Ryu. I want him to do well here, and I hope he isn't too just incentivized to continue to play and continue to compete. I know that he isn't leaving us again. It was just a little bit of a break, and hopefully that hiatus has now ended, and yeah, we'll see what our return is gonna look like here. Speaking of return, we see a pretty standard, oh my god, a pretty standard opener. It was going to be a 1-1-1 here from Sinner, but a little bit different after that factory. He goes for the 3rd CC on location because we are on Moondance. You can do that. This 3rd base is perfectly safe. It cannot be punished, so Terran players can be that much more greedy here. Meanwhile, Ryu did open up with Pneumatized Carapace, following up his link speed, so he goes in for the scout, confirms the main, confirms the opener, and he will even see the 3rd base on location as well. So he knows about the 3cc opener. He knows that he can't really do much to punish it, and more importantly, he also scouted the 2nd factory. He knows that Sinner is playing mech. Welcome back, Ryu. First series back to competing, and he's up against mech of all things. There's the 3rd factory being thrown down as well. Thankfully, as soon as Ryu recognized that it was going to be mech, he does throw down a Roach Warren. With that scan, Sinner is also aware that Ryu is responding with roaches, so everyone's on the same page here. We all know what's going on. Ryu, he's taking his 3rd, he's droning up. Again, tech-wise, he's prepared for this, but is he prepared in position? Because Blue Flame is on the way, and Sinner is looking to dive in with his Hellions. Unfortunately, it's only a one-way trip for all these Hellions. We'll see how much damage they can get done. They get 2 drones in the end, and that is it. Honestly, a really good trade here so far by Ryu. Throwing away 4 Hellions is a little bit monk-esque. I think the biggest problem with throwing away these 4 Hellions is the anti-timing. You know, Blue Flame is still on the way. Like, they could be a little bit more useful if they had survived a little bit longer. Because of this, Ryu has map control. He is free to drone. He is free to just spread as much creep as possible. But he has to be careful because I imagine Sinner is looking to dive in again. With this kind of style, you just continue to pump out as many Hellions as you can. We do see a follow-up scout here from Ryu just to confirm, does confirm the tech labs, does see the researching as well, so he should recognize that there should be Blue Flame Hellions on the way. Checks the gas count, checks the saturation. I believe he even saw the 4th CC here, so he knows again that Sinner isn't looking to hit a big 3-base timing. He is looking to just turtle and macro up. Speaking of Hellions diving across the map, there we go. The second wave of Hellions are on the way. Lings do confirm this, so Ryu is fully aware that they're at least on the left-hand side of the map. Lings are rotating. Queens are already here in position. Are there enough Lings, though? Are there enough Queens to stop this? Because, again, I feel like Sinner doesn't care about the Queens. He's just going to... Oh! I thought he was just going to try and run past anyway, but no, he does back off. And this is going to give Ryu a little bit more time. Queens are rotating once again towards the natural. He's going for a couple of injects. Roaches are coming out as well, so it's going to be a little bit harder for Sinner to find damage with these. And again, so far with his Hellions, he's only gotten 2 drones. Gonna be clearing up a lot of creep though. Oh my god, what was that? 6-7 creep tumors. Not bad damage at all. And this is something that I really appreciate about Ryu. He commits even harder to roaches. He's going for burrow. He's, I imagine, gonna be going for tunneling claws after roach speed as well. So after he has a mass amount of roaches to defend, he is looking to be the aggressor as well. So far, we don't see any detection. We don't see any missile turrets. So Sinner may be caught off guard by this. Meanwhile, Ryu's drone count is still incredibly healthy, 73 workers for now. He's making more, he's double expanding, taking his 4th base and his 5th at the same time. And, oh, actually going straight into Infestors here. Interesting choice. Infestors are great against Battle Mech, against Ferrari Mech, essentially Cyclones and Hellions to lock them down. But Sinner went for a more tank-heavy style. Now he is transitioning a little bit later into Cyclones, but he's still prioritizing those tanks, so I'm not too sure how useful Infestors are going to be here. I mean, they have other uses, don't get me wrong, and I mean, they can still lock down these Hellions at least, but in a head-on engagement, pushing into these tank lines, it's going to be hard ask. Oof. Oh boy. We shall see if he can pull it off. I quickly set some things up here. There we go. Beautiful. 1-1 on the way here for Ryu as well. Quickly checking. Yeah, he doesn't have melee. He's not going for Lingbane Roach Ravager, which is interesting. He's going for a mainly Roach Infestor composition, and he's actually going into Lurkers. Oh my god. Roach Hydra Lurker Infestor against Mech? Show me the way, papi. I mean, for those of you who don't know, for those of you who have been tuning into the CranKy Ducklings relatively recently, and not, you know, over the past couple of years, Ryu has a nickname. He is the Lurker King here in Latino America, and especially in the ZvP matchup. He loves his Lurkers, ZvZ as well. He even does it in ZvT against Mech. We'll see if it works out for him. Meanwhile, we do see the Blue Flame Hellions going for a massive run by here at the 5th base location. They get 11 workers at the same time. Another Hellion run by. This time, though, Roaches and Hydras are in position, so the second push gets deflected. The first one, though, did deal a lot of damage. 11 drones going down. It's a lot of workers. Thankfully, Ryu had more than enough to spare. He is still at 86 drones. That's insane. So his worker count is still looking incredibly healthy. Sensor towers are being thrown down here for Sinner as he tries to establish his 4th and soon to be 5th base, but Ryu is being incredibly annoying here with these borrowed Zerglings. I was talking about Tunneling Claw Roaches earlier, but it looks like he only got borrowed for these Lings just to be that much more annoying, just to force out more scans, which is really smart because typically when we go mech, especially early game, we don't have a lot of orbitals to work with. We don't have a lot of scans, so every single scan is going to be that much more important, that much more brutal here for Sinner. Meanwhile, Vipers are on the way. Hydra Lurker Viper, you love to see it. We have Infestors involved as well. Ryu, he has some of the best control when it comes to controlling late game against Skytoss, and this is kind of a similar situation here. Late game against mech, when we have multiple spellcasters, multiple units to be in position as well. I commend Ryu because I was talking about it earlier. Ryu is out of practice. He has been on a break. He was burnt out, and for him, for his first like competitive series, he's going into this. This is going to be quite a warm-up, quite a workout. Oh my god, we see a scan confirming the Hydra Den. Sinner can piece together that should be Hydra Lurker Viper, and with that he's gonna have to get a bunch of turrets up. Like, these tanks are gonna be so vulnerable to abducts, to blinding clouds as well. These turrets don't have the most range either. We're getting a couple of Thors. We have 2 Ghosts are on the way as well. Ghosts are honestly exactly what Sinner needs. But looking at the units tab, Sinner doesn't have any right now. The first wave of Goats are on the way, and Ryu is maxed. Here we go, Ryu just kind of tempting fate a little bit. Looks like he's going to be able to get a yoink on 1. 2 of these tanks already going to be going down. Thor's not quite in position. Missile turrets again not quite covering those tanks. We still have 7 more where that came from. Jesus, the tank line here is insane. Ryu may have to think about rotating over to the other side instead, as he pokes in, and he will lose a chunk of his roaches. Ay, ay, ay. Here we go. Sinner's still Ryu's still trying to find a way, and we have Groove Spines on the way. Again, Ryu was never intending to push up this ramp. He was never intending to commit. He was only poking, prodding, picking off what he could, buying time here for his upgrades, and also for a bit of a doom drop. Oh my god, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 lurkers are making their way into the main base. We see a scan. The scan misses the army. Sinner has to be thinking, yo, the army has to be somewhere. Where is it? He's probably feeling a little bit confident just because of the sensor tower range, but there is a little bit of a slither here where Ryu can sneak in. Oh, meanwhile, EMPs do connect with 2 of these Vipers. They managed to get 1 of these parasitic bombs off on the Vikings, but nice bit here by Sinner. Meanwhile, massive Doom drop into the main base with the mass lurker. Oh my god. Every single lurker manages to burrow here in the main base. 10 lurkers in total. He's actually trying to split up here. He wants to go into the natural base as well. At the same time, the main army is looking to push into the front, and there is nothing here. Only 2 tanks. Lurkers taking control of the production. The tech lab's going down here when it comes to the Raxes, which means no more Ghosts are going to be on the way. At the same time, the main army breaks through the front line. 6 base is going down. Tanks are going down as well. Sinner is being pulled apart. He's trying to deal with oh my god, he's trying to deal with the Lurkers, but the Ghosts, they fly too close to the sun. They were a little bit too close to the Lurkers, and they go down. Only a single Ghost remaining. Again, no more Ghosts can be made. The Lurker Hydra army is breaking on through. Another CC goes down. Oh my god. At the same time, zero mining happening here in the pocket base as well. 31 SCVs go down in the blink of an eye. Sinner just lost 3 CCs and 31 workers. Oh my god. He's crazy. Ryu just pulling him apart right now. Again, there's still a very fortified position here on towards the triangular 3rd base location, so Ryu can't really break this, but he's going for it anyway. Oh my god. The Lings, they flood on in, they get on top of the tanks. The Vipers come in as well just to support a little bit more. Looks like it's going to be a little bit too much to really break, but Ryu, he gets 4 more tanks, and these are tanks that Sinner is going to have a hard time replacing. Look at that bank. Sinner just doesn't have the minerals for it. His main army is still looking quite terrifying, but this is all, what you see is what you get. Another couple of yoinks come in as well. Ryu replacing his Hydras. He's going into Greater Spire from here, looking to tech into Broodlords, into Corruptor Broodlord, but will he even need it? He's replacing the Vipers that he just lost. He's again gaining more map control, spreading that creep. There's actually almost no place left here for Sinner to expand. He's trying to retake the left-hand base. Oh god. But can he do it? He's floating over, trying to take his 6th once again, but the army of Ryu is ready and waiting. The other important thing to take note of is that all the sensor towers have been taken out, so it's now much more difficult for Sinner to keep up with the army movement. Okay, Ryu denies the 6th floor now. I was just guessing it was 6. I'm just quickly counting. Okay, that is the 6th base. Oh my god. +3 range on the way, +2 carapace as well. We are remaxed. Vipers just topping up on their energy, sucking on some Evo chambers. The other interesting thing is that these infestors have been here the entire game. They actually haven't really been used. They were being used early on, I imagine, just in case there was going to be a cyclone switch, but it never happened. So these infestors, they've just been chilling here the entire game. Oh my god. Yeah, Hydra Lurker Viper doesn't have infestor in its name. Feels bad, man. Feels bad. Oh. But you know, if the army ever pushes out, they'll be there to fungal. Just saying, just saying. Another bit of a yoink, another tank goes down. Ghosts are being rebuilt, by the way. The Tech Labs and the Raxes have been on the way here as Sinner tries to re-establish his production. But we have to be careful if we are Ryu about those EMPs. Another Blinding Cloud goes down. Oh! No EMP connection just yet. Ryu having a hard time breaking through. He still has an incredible bank, but Sinner has been able to defend long enough to re-establish his bases, retake the pocket base, take the 5th base as well. He is maxing out. Okay, another couple of yoinks are coming in. Did see another EMP on those Vipers, so they don't have enough energy for any more abducts. Questionable movement by Ryu again. Ryu is trying to break this location once again, but Sinner has been re-established, and I do think we need that transition into Broodlords. Upgrades are still on the way. We have more Infestors on the way as well. It looks like Ryu has recognized the inefficiency of his ground army, and he knows that he has to take flight. There we go. First wave of Corruptors are on the way. He needs to get into Broodlords sooner rather than later, and what's scary is that, again, Sinner has been able to lick his wounds. He has been able to recover for the most part. He is now remaxed. I don't think he's going to push out anytime soon though. Because of the creep and because Sinner still can't get his 6th base up and running, I think Ryu is going to be safe. A couple more snipes come in here, taking out a couple of these lurkers. Ryu, with this, he wants to slowly trade out his Hydra Lurker. Slowly. If he loses too much too quickly, that will trigger a counterattack, so he has to be so careful. The dance is very delicate here with these Lurkers. Gonna lose another one here in the process. 2 actually. Has to be careful as he may lose all of them, but as the Lurkers die, the Broodlords are being made. Again, Ryu fully aware that he has to slowly get rid of this. Hydras have to be gotten rid of as well. Have a couple of queens here. Again, a little bit too close to the sun. They all get sniped. What does that mean? More Broodlords are on the way. We're just clearing up that supply. Like, do we need queens right now? Do we need creep spread right now? Not really. You know, the creep is where it needs to be, so we can't afford to lose them. We see another scan. Infestors have been spotted. Sinner should now recognize, ooh, with more Infestors, with the death of all those Lurkers, even if I haven't seen the Broodlords should be on the map. And that's why more missile darts are being thrown down, trying to slow down the approach here of the Broodlords. And we'll see how Ryu's going to be able to handle this army. He's double expanding, taking every single base on the map. Sinner also taking bottom left, though. A little bit sneaky, a little bit cheeky. Ghosts, they're coming in. Do we have detection? We do, but it's a little bit too far back. Ooh, 2, 3 Broodlords get sniped. 4 Broodlords. Oh, just 3 for the time being. And detection wasn't in position. So Ryu taking a lot of losses there. He's going to have to rebuild all those Broodlords at the same time. Oh my god, Nidus in the natural of Sinner. He does notice. He's pulling everything back though. Uh-oh. I don't know if that's really what we want to be seeing right now, as the Nidus does end up finishing those remaining Hydras that we had to get rid of. There they are. They sneak into the natural, in towards the pocket base. Oh my god, they actually snipe an armory, denying +3. Again, we're getting rid of the Hydras, replacing them with Corruptors. Vestors slowly coming out. Yeah, it looks like because a lot of the army was pulled back, Sinner is going to be giving up this position. A bunch of the Missile Hearts do end up falling. The Ghost having a hard time breaking on through. EMPs miss. And here we go. The snipes. Sure, they get 1 Broodlord, but it wasn't quite worth it. Ryu being very careful with his Infestors, keeping them far back. Doesn't want to let them get EMP'd. And because they're safe and sound, Sinner, he cannot engage. He's going to try it. Gets an EMP on the Vipers, but not the Infestors. We see a landed Fungal, and the base goes down. So he has to be careful not to chase too far here. If he does, again, the Infestors are ready and waiting. He doesn't have enough energy for EMP. Oh my god. And in that little skirmish, almost every single Ghost died. There's only 2 left. They had to be remade here, and unfortunately Sinner had a bunch of Thors queued up instead. There we go. Ghosts are now on the way. Oh, but he needs them now. And Ryu, he's slowly gathering up that energy again. He's just sucking on some buildings. There we go. Viper's getting topped up. Ryu on the way. A couple of melee upgrades as well to transition to a Ling Flood, maybe even Ultras if he needs them. And the 6th base was denied, but we have another 6th base here on the left, so it looks like Ryu has finally found it. He's just going to try and rotate over as well. Again, only 2 ghosts with the army, but that's a lot of Vikings. Oh boy, this is where the parasitic bombs are going to come into play. At the same time, the SCVs, the boys are being pulled. Let's go. Oh my god. We see the EMPs there connecting with the Vipers. Not before a couple of those parasitic bombs did go off on the Vikings though. A lot of damage being done to said Vikings. I'm a little bit concerned that we don't have enough Corruptors, I'll be honest. If there are too many Vikings, they may just be able to overwhelm the Skytoss army. The only thing stopping the Vikings from doing so are the Queens and I guess the Infestors and their Fungals. So I'm a little bit scared that Ryu's army balance may be a little bit off here. Quickly looking at the units tab, we have 3 Corruptors against 9 Vikings. There are those EMPs. We actually have a couple of Neurals on tanks, question mark. I guess that helps a little bit. Soaking up some of that damage. I think that's another thing I should bear in mind. It's like, yo, we don't have enough Corruptors. Well, who needs Corruptors when your opponent has Thors that we can Neural? I guess the reality is that if the Thors are a little bit exposed, then Ryu could take control of them and use them to take down those Vikings. The power of the Infestor. Oh my god. Meanwhile, a couple more SCVs going down. I mean, I say they're going down, but Sinner is getting rid of them. He's just sending more and more workers across the map. We don't need them anymore. It's all about the mules. I love how active Ryu's been with the crease thread as well, pushing up this ramp. Vipers are now topped up once again. The Infestors are still a little bit bunched up. I'm a little bit concerned for them. Here we go. The blinding clouds on a lot of the Thors. We do have the neural parasites on said Thors. Mate, that's what I was talking about. They're targeting down the Vikings. Is it going to be enough though? Is there enough anti-air here for Ryu? And I don't think there is. There are just far too many Vikings. The Broodlords are all going to go down. Ryu knows this, so he has to just throw away as many Broodlords as possible. I mean, trade as best he can. Vikings are going to push on forward. We have a Remax into Mass Hydra. Let's go. I love this tech switch because there are no more tanks. That's the thing. The problem with going Hydra Lurker is that if you have a mass amount of tanks, you can't really break through anymore. Not with a ground-focused army. But because we saw such a big commitment into Thors and Vikings, Hydra Lurker is exactly what you want. Thing is, does Ryu have enough time? He has rebuilt all of his Hydras. They have been spotted. I feel like this fight is a little bit premature. We do have enough energy for another EMP. Sorry, for another Fungal, but the EMPs connect instead. Hydra's trying to break on through, but without any kind of support of Lurkers or Broodlords, are forced to back off. Broodlords are being remade. 333 on the way. 17 Lurk. Oh my god. 17 Lurkers on the way as well. Jesus Christ. That's a lot of Lurkers, and there's not a lot of anti-air here. Again, we need more tanks. 4 tanks are on the way. Sinner has now recognized the switch into Hydras, the potential switch into Lurkers. He knows he has to switch desperately into those tanks, but this may be too late. The tanks, they're on the way, but they're not here. They're not on the front line. Oh god, Lurkers trying to force their way forward, but it looks like they're having a hard time. Only 1 tank remaining. 0 tanks remaining. Vikings, sure, they're going to be able to take down all these Broodlords once again. And yo, Ryu, he's trying to dive on top of the tanks. Zoning them away for the time being. Does Ryu have enough? I don't think he does. Yeah, the Vikings land. There wasn't enough support here for the Lurkers. I think the masked Lurker was a little bit ambitious. He does take down a lot of workers though. 15 SCVs go down. The worker count for Sinner is in shambles. And Sinner, even though that may have been a pretty inefficient trade from Ryu, I will say that, Sinner can't remax. He doesn't have a bank. Ryu Kind of does. He kept all of his infestors alive. That's the most important part. The supply for Ryu is still looking relatively healthy. But does that matter? If Sinner does retake this upper base, then it may all be for naught, because he just needs another base up and running to be able to rebuild his army. Meanwhile, Ling, Bane, Hydra, Infestor coming out here. Bottom left-hand base, it's gone, mate. There is no way for it to survive. Not even wasting any Banelings on it. The base goes out. We see a transition into mass lib? Question mark? Ugh. 6 Liberators go down in the blink of an eye. Switching into libs was questionable. I think he assumed that Ryu was going to be stuck on Hydra Lurker, but that just wasn't the case. I kind of want to check. How many Infestors has Ryu lost this game? 2. He's lost 2 Infestors. Like, that's how much Ryu cares about his boys. Like, he is so careful with his Infestor control. He never overextends with them, and that really comes into play as to how well he's been playing so far. That's why, even though he's been running out of minerals, like, he still has a pretty decent gas bank, and he just hasn't had to rebuild these gas-intensive units. Here we go, another base ends up going down here. Sinner being starved out. Are we overextending a little bit too much here? Maybe. Rinner back. Ryu backs off. Ryu and Sinner. Rinner. Oh my god. Look, it's early in the morning, okay? Calm down, puppy. Calm down. And Sinner is taking a fresh base, don't get me wrong, but I mean, Ryu's had the entirety of the map all this time. He's been able to remax, gathering it back once again. I would love to see more Vipers, and Vipers are on the way. Without Vipers, it's going to be nigh impossible to break these siege lines. Speaking of, there are the yoinks. But one tank goes down. A second tank barely goes down as well. Clutch transfused there by the Queens, coming in, keeping the Vipers alive, sucking on more Evos. Yeah, I love it. Just Ryu continuing to rotate between the bases, making sure that Sinner just doesn't have any comfortable mining going on, or stifling it as best he can. Uh-oh. Spellcaster's Ryu having a little bit of a pathing issue there, but he neurals the tank. Oh my god. And here we go. It looks like Ryu has finally found a way in. He outpositions the entire army. The tanks just weren't here in time to really protect that natural base. And here we go. There are those yoinks. There are not enough Vikings here to really stop all these Vipers. And Sinner over time, he's just been whittled away. Doesn't have anything left. GG gets called. And Ryu, after 28 minutes, takes game number 1. What a warm-up. Oh my god. GG. Welcome back, Ryu. Welcome back. Oh my god. GG, well played. What a game number 1. That was crazy. Bearing in mind, it all started with Ryu going Roach Infestor into Hydra Lurker Viper. Then he didn't go for Nidus. He went for a mass Lurker drop into the main base, where he was able to, again, cripple the economy of Sinner, keep it low, keep it in check, eventually switching into Brood Lords, then back into Hydras again. Oh, beautiful. That's the thing, when you're up against mech like this, especially late game, other than of course being hyper aggressive and stopping the economy of the meching player, you also have to continue to adapt with your composition, keep them on their toes, and make sure you're on top of that, right? Because if you're stuck with Mass Broodlord, all your opponent has to do is make just a bunch of Thors, but that's why you switch back into Hydras, you force out tanks, you switch back and forth. It was beautiful. It was beautiful. And speaking of beautiful, spawning in the top right hand corner of Stargazers, we have our Peruvian Zerg player himself, residing in the land of Italia and representing the CranKy Ducklings. He's the Street Fighter himself. It is Ryu. And spawning in the top left-hand corner of Stargazers, we have the Mexican Terran player representing Xeritus Ignat. It is Sinner. The strongest Terran player in the entire bracket tonight. Exclamation mark Funada Tavo and Chaos Fate, neither one of them are here, but Sinner is. And that was a very intense game number one. Sinner doing what he does best, whipping out that mech, turtling up. But Ryu, I don't think there was, even though there were some questionable fights, some questionable engagements every now and then, there was never a moment where Ryu was ever in real danger. Bear this in mind, Sinner never pushed out across the map with his army. He only moved out with a couple of Hellions for run-bys, and that was it. Like, he never had the opportunity, he never had the breathing room to push out with his Thors, to push out with his tanks, to push out with anything. Just Ryu was constantly in his face. It was just impressive to see. It was, yeah, you don't see it too often, and Ryu was more than willing to embrace that late game. And it's not like he was passive getting there. Again, we saw the mass doom drop, we saw the counterattacks, we saw the Nidus in the natural at one point as well. Like, Ryu was going for any way that he could to break that defense of Sinner, just hyper active style. And yeah, it was just really, really cool to see. I love my son. Oh my god. Meanwhile, as we get into game number two, I'm going to give a quick shout out as well to Darking in the chat. Don't think I didn't see you. Thank you so much, Darking, for subscribing for 10 months. Thank you so much, Darking. I appreciate it. I see that Pappy's in the chat. Ah. Oh my god. For those who don't know, Darking, he is the admin of today's tournament. Without Darking, this tournament would not be a thing. So thank you so much for, again, just facilitating so much for Latin American StarCraft. Darking has a lot of passion. Usually Darking casts with me as well, but I do know that Darking is unavailable tonight, so he won't be casting with me today. Usually he joins in the semis, so I will be solo casting for a little bit. Feels bad, man. Feels bad. But regardless, thank you so much, Darking. Thank you so much for everything you do. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. I see Maximo in the chat. Light, ¿te cortaste el pelo? ¿Qué pasó, papi? Qué guapo. Yes, yes. I didn't really address it. I addressed it on my personal stream, but I did have a haircut. This is true. I've lost my curls. Feels bad, man. Feels bad. The curls are gone. But that's because summer is upon us. Not in like a month or two. So it's gonna get hot here in Australia. Gonna get hot. Christmas summer is what we have. Meanwhile, when it comes to the game itself, when it comes to game number two, is Sinner gonna whip out that mech once again? I wouldn't be surprised if he does. We'll see where things kind of take us as Ryu goes for Pneumatized Carapace. He goes for the Overlord Scout, confirms the 1-1-1. Stim starts as the Overlord runs past, but part of me believes that this stim may be a fake. We'll see as the Overlord is being shooed away. We do see that Sinner is trying to go for his third base on location once again. Moondance and Stargazer, these are things that can be done on these maps. Ryu with another Overlord confirms, okay, you do have that third CC. It is going to be that 1-1-3 CC build, and we do not see an add-on switch. It is a real stim. It is Bio. Thank God. Don't want none of this mech. None of this mech, puppy. Meanwhile, we do see Sinner trying to go for a little bit of a run by Ryu. Upon seeing that third base being made on location, he immediately takes his fifth as well. His fourth as well. Honestly, I really love this, just because, again, like you can tell that your opponent's being greedy. You can see that they're going for a more macro-oriented build. So why not go for a faster base? Why not go for faster Evo chambers? Instead of Evo chambers, though, Ryu is going straight into that lair. Oh boy. Just droning up as best he can. So far, he has been able to keep up with the Hellions, and the Hellions haven't been able to do too much damage here. With 12 Lings and with all these Queens, like, they just haven't seen an opportunity to dive into a mineral line. Meanwhile, with this 1/1/1 opener, it is going to be into that Liberator. Overlord once again trying to sneak on in, but there was a Viking in position. Sinner does deny the scout, and because of that, okay, thankfully Ryu is getting a Spore in position for that Liberator. Meanwhile, 9 Hellions are now moving out, and because of that, there is going to be an opportunity for damage. He dies on top of at least one of these queens. He will get the queen for his trouble. Is he going to get into a mineral line, though? That is the question. Right now, he's flirting with the idea, but he doesn't want to commit. He's going to back off. And an interesting choice here by Ryu. I mean, I don't blame him. He only saw the 1/1/1, and that stim could technically be a fake. So because of that, we do see a Roach Warren on the way, just in case he needs it. Queen's moving out here, forcing back those Hellions once again. I mean, the Hellions are doing a great job at clearing up creep. That's what I should say, right? Like, a lot of creep was cleared here in the center of the map, here towards the northern side as well. Despite the rush distance by ground being relatively short, like, Ryu's been having a hard time keeping this creep up and running. Meanwhile, he goes for another Overseer Scout. He confirms the second Rax. He's going to confirm the abundance of more Raxes as well. And now he's fully aware, okay, this is going to be Bio. I can start 1/1. I can commit to Ling Bane. Ooh. Speaking of committing to Ling Bane, oh my god. Sinner overextends a little bit too much, and he's going to be losing all of his Hellions. Feels bad, man. With the loss of those Hellions, no more map control. Ryu can now freely creep. He can freely drone up as well. I mean, he's already at 77 drones, don't get me wrong, but now he can expand. He can just get up to 85 if he wanted to. He's actually making some roaches right now. Interesting choice. He has eyes here on the potential 4th base location, sees that it hasn't been thrown down yet. So, okay, he's just making sure he has enough to defend against a 7-minute push in case a tank push did move out. Surprisingly, 0 tanks are out right now for Sinner. I guess he had maybe over-invested in all of those Hellions, and even more so in like getting his production up and running. But without any tanks, like, there isn't going to be a move out. Surprisingly, we do see a mass amount of Marines here in the center of the map, but it looks like they're only here to clear up some Overlords. They don't want to overextend. If they do, that could be the end of the game here for Sinner. Like, he's going to be so careful. I don't know what he's doing here. Sinner, please. Here we go. He does end up finally meeting up with his medevacs. Going to be moving out here to clear up some more of this creep with the drop. Just being a little bit aggressive here, looking to deny any kind of 5th base that gets thrown down. Thankfully for Sinner, we don't have any anti-air for Ryu. He's only just now going towards his Hydra Den. But yeah, that was a scary moment. As Sinner finally gets his 4th up and running, 2-2 on the way. He's just getting into the swing of things himself, and thankfully he has now commenced his tank production, so he can have some kind of staying power here. Going mass marine like this, it's very flexible, but it's also really fragile. It's like a glass cannon. There's a lot of DPS potential and a lot of like micro potential, don't get me wrong, but one wrong move and it will crumble. Oh my god, like this! As a lot of Marines get picked off there. Again, Sinner not looking at the wrong moment. The creep is almost at his 4th base. And Ryu with his map control, he double expands. I was going to say that his 5th base was pretty late, I'll be honest. It took him a while to finally get this up and running, and I think he knows that, so to compensate for the late 5th base, he's taking the gold at the same time to make sure he gets at least one of them up and running. Oh boy. Speaking of the gold, immediately Sinner is headed in that direction, so I'm a little bit concerned here. Thankfully, the main army is kind of in position, so Ryu shouldn't lose the space. I say that as the army heads over towards the north. There we go, the medevac piloting does go over the base. Ryu should spot this. The main army is going to be pushing through the center. Earlier we had 0 tanks, now we have 9. Oh my god, that is a lot of tanks. The drop is going to be drawing away the forces here of Ryu, but the Banelings find their connections. Again, Sinner not looking for one moment. And and loses half his Marines as a result. But doesn't matter, because again, this push is honestly looking pretty terrifying. There's a lot of choke points to make use of. Already here, the ramp being overtaken by Sinner. Drop once again will be forcing a bit of a distraction, and now Ryu, can he even get a single one of these bases up? We'll see, because he goes for a mass run by. The wall is not a wall. The Lings, they break into the natural base. They don't get into the main, but they're going to get 1, 2, maybe even 3 tanks for their troubles. Drop here towards the south, not finding too much damage either, but this 5th base has been killed for Ryu. Oh, Angie base even going down as well. These things are eventually going to get cleaned up, thankfully. Meanwhile, the double drop doesn't find any damage at the gold, so he heads towards the southern base instead. Going to lose a lot of his firepower. Something that I love that Ryu does, early on he made 5 roaches, if you noticed. And those roaches eventually turn into these Ravagers, and now they have some, they have some utility here. They can bow down these tanks, even though he's not going for a big roach composition. Like 5 Ravagers for safety. Like, they have value. Already 3 tanks going down as a result. That drop being a little bit annoying, but finally gets cleaned up. There we go. Once again, Ravagers biting down another one of those tanks. Lurkers are now out. With these Lurkers, there isn't really going to be a way for Sinner to break into this location. He knows that, so he's going to be going for a drop instead. If he threw down a couple of mules, he could find another way into the main. Or you could just drop. As we see a mass Dune drop into the main base of Ryu. The tanks siege up as well. I don't think we have enough here. There are only a handful of Banelings. We do have some Vipers, and they will help out the Lurkers. Oh, God. Looks like with the help of the Lurkers, there is going to be enough here. Oh my God, the Blinding Clouds are pretty insane as well. The main base does get defended. Meanwhile, an ambitious drop here on top of all these Lurkers. He does get 2 of them, but only 2. But Ravagers once again filing down another tank. And Ryu, he's had enough defending. He has a mass amount of Lurkers. He's going for the double Nidus into the main. I have had enough, he says. There we go. Nidus into the main base. What do we have at home to defend? Would you have some Marines and 3 tanks? This may be enough, but look how many Lurkers there are. Jesus Christ. Yeah, that was on copium, thinking there was maybe going to be enough to defend. Meanwhile, a massive drop into the main base of Ryu, so we see both main bases under threat. But Ryu should have enough Ling Bane to defend. He has a couple of Vipers. I say they should have enough Ling Bane. The Lings actually go across the map as well. Hive gets taken out. Ryu has given up his main. To be fair, what was in the main? Just the Hive. What's in the main for Sinner? His production. Sinner gonna try and force his way down this ramp, but this is where the Niduses are. And GG, good luck gets called. Ryu takes game number 2. Oh my God. I was getting a little bit concerned there when it came to the base trade. The spawning pool got taken out as well. That's why Ryu wasn't making any Lings towards the end. But Ryu actually had a really smart decision to throw down both Niduses at the natural. So even though the main was on fire for Ryu, because his Niduses were safe, at any moment, if the natural was ever under threat, Ryu, he just packs everything back into the Niduses and comes back home. It's like he has a recall, and because of that, like, he was never in any real danger. Again, only losing his own main, only losing a Hive and a spawning pool. GG. GG, well played. Congratulations to Ryu with his return to competitive play after a month-long hiatus. He takes down Sinner. Again, the strongest Terran player in the entire tournament, and Ryu moves on to the semi-finals, where he already has an opponent ready and waiting. Exclamation mark B in the chat if you guys want to have a look at the bracket. We had a lot of very strong players this week. Ryu, Sinner, the Zerg Lord, Eon, Paco, Mike is here as well as 2 others, Jim Rising and Master, which just finished up. Master 2-0'd Jim Rising. My heart goes out to Jimena, Jaime, Duran Silencio. My man. Papa Jim himself is knocked out of the tournament, so a little bit of a feels bad man there. But it means that we have a ZvP ahead of us in that semis. Oof.